The 3rd of October, what we're going to call it, the German National Day. Germans are not keen on the word national. The Day of German Unity. Okay, so this is now 28 years when the new Federal Republic started, i.e. the 5 Eastern Länder joined the West, or whichever you want to do it. But again, when I was young, the Day of German Unity was actually the 17th of June, because that was the anniversary of the Berlin Uprising in 1953, when the workers on Leipzig-Stalinallee actually revolted and threw cobblestones at the Russian tanks, which were pretty quick to come in. I was 5 years old when on the 13th of August 1961, in fact my mother's birthday, the wall in Berlin went up, and I think I remember all the newsreels then from the television which we had, which only had one channel in those days, so again, maybe I'm giving my age away here a little bit too much. But let's not forget, Germany had been divided since the 15th of July 1945 as part of the post-war arrangements between the three powers, and then so there was American, British and the Soviet zone, and then the Americans and the Brits took the Black Forest and a few bits and gave them to the French to keep them happy. So the division of Germany is a post-war thing, and then both the two German states actually came into existence in 1949. And the actual inner German border, all 1,381 kilometers of it, was built from about 1952 onwards. So that means crossing from East into West Germany was not possible. The only way you could cross from East into West was going into Berlin, which was an open city, and there were people living in the East working in the West, or the other way around. So until they finally closed that one off in 61. But that's obviously always been the symbol of German division, with the Brandenburg Gate as the sort of icon.
Checkpoint Charlie.
And Checkpoint Charlie, of course, yeah. So that's the. But borders obviously were for me quite normal growing up, and I grew up in Bonn, but sometimes we would go on a car trip into the Eifel, the mountains towards the Belgian border, nip into Belgium to buy some Belgian chocolate. From there, go over the border into Holland to buy cheap cigarettes, cheap coffee, and petrol, whatever else it was. So basically, it was a little bit exciting to cross borders, where you had to show your passport, and you were only allowed 2 pounds of coffee. That's 1,000 grams, not to bring over tax-free, and I think it was 400 cigarettes or something like that. It was quite exciting, but again, it was a perfectly normal thing to go into a different country, to pay with different money, and to hear people speak different languages, which is an experience that a lot of people in this country, I mean, okay, now we got mass tourism and flights to Spain, but didn't have. It's just a whole different outlook. And I certainly always felt more of a European than a German, which again has got something to do with German aversion to nationalism. But the first time I really realized I was German rather than European is when I spent time in France as an exchange student, and later when I spent time at medical school in London. And then I realized what what it meant, because again you all had your stereotypes, and I know I'm personally responsible for the First World War, the Second World War, and the final in 1966, and it was only really in 2006, when the World Cup was in Germany, that Germans started waving German flags again. A totally alien concept to me, and so that's something maybe quite difficult to get across. And then of course we had the EC, the biggest peace project Europe has ever seen, and then we had Schengen, so we had frictionless borders, it was nice to be, and then we had the euro. I mean, again, you might think the euro has got its disadvantages. The reason why we have the euro is because Mitterrand wanted the euro, and he would only say okay to German reunification if Kohl was pushing for the euro, whereas Thatcher was, of course, very much against unification at the time. So that's Europe. It is a continent. We all got our different national characteristics. We all got different mentalities. We can argue whether United States of Europe is a good idea. I think it's probably not at the moment. Certainly not a feasible thing. But I am very very sad about the whole Brexit thing. And as the Honorary Consul, and I've had my session today mainly doing passports and other things for people, obviously I get asked a lot what is going to happen and so on and so forth, and also I get the impression, and I'm forming it myself having been here now for about 30 years, that you just don't feel welcome anymore. That is very, very sad. I mean, I've got many good friends here, but the whole discussion has become very, very toxic, I think. And what we're hearing from the Tory party conference doesn't help matters. I mean, this morning were bits in the papers about, you have to apply when you come to England, like the Americans, you got to fill the form in online, so they want to introduce that here, apparently, and basically becoming more island orientated than you already are. So that's, in a nutshell, my feelings about it, and I can't be too political because that's not my job as a sort of unpaid German government official. But I'm very happy for people like yourselves that are interested, that want to bring the European idea forward and maybe salvage something. We'll find out. Well, I don't know. But so thanks very much for listening to me, and I'll be interested to see what the other speakers will have to say. Thank you.